Aizstāvēsim viens otru ar pārliecinošu spēku, kas piemīt NATO aliansei, kas ir pasaulē spēcīgākā militārā aizsardzības alianse. Tikmēr Ukrainai šobrīd ir nepieciešama palīdzība visos veidos – militāri, finansiāli, humanitāri. Krievijas uzbrukums Ukrainai ir uzbrukums arī rietumiem kopumā, demokrātijām kopumā, mūsu vērtībām, mūsu noteikumos balstītai starptautiskajai kārtībai. Mēs ar ģenerālsekretāru Stoltenbergu pārunājām visas atbilžu opcijas, visas iespējas, arī tādas, kuras šobrīd netiek aktīvi iedarbinātas. Uzbrukumi no Krievijas notiek arī citos veidos. Mums jābūt gataviem arī atbildēt uz hibrīdu apdraudējumiem, ko Krievija jau īsteno vairākus gadus, vedot informatīvo karu pret rietumiem, sagrozot vēsturi, dezinformāciju un citos veidos. NATO strateģiskās komunikācijas ekscelences centrs, kas atrodas Latvijā, ir svarīgs elements šajā cīņā ar Krievijas meliem. Es arī ģenerālsekretāram uzsvēru, cik svarīgi mums kopīgi rūpēties par to, lai Krievijas iedzīvotājiem nonāk objektīva, patiesa informācija par Putina režīma agresiju pret Ukrainu. Mēs pārunājam arī gatavošanos nākamajam NATO samitam Madridē un jauno NATO strateģisko koncepciju, kur paredzēts apstiprināt šajā samitā. Tā jāņem vērā ir jaunā realitāte Eiropā un pasaulē, ka Krievija ir agresīva valsts un mūsu NATO kopējā koncepcijā tas būs par pamatu šai jaunajai stratēģijai. Paldies par uzmanību.
Paldies. Vārds NATO ģenerālsekretāram Jensam Stoltenbergam.
President Levits, dear Egil, thank you so much for this warm welcome. It's always a pleasure to be in Latvia and to meet with you again. We just had an important discussion about Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine and the implications for our security. The Ukrainian people and armed forces have inspired the world with their courage. But President Putin's assault continues, and the humanitarian impact is devastating. Many civilians have been killed or wounded, and 2 million people have fled Ukraine. This is Europe's fastest growing refugee crisis since the Second World War. There are very credible reports of civilians coming under fire as they try to evacuate. Targeting civilians is a war crime, and it's totally unacceptable. We need real humanitarian corridors that are fully respected. We made clear for months that President Putin would pay a high price for renewed aggression against Ukraine. And this price is exactly what he is paying now. Russia has been hit with severe and unprecedented sanctions and near total isolation on the world stage. Allies are helping Ukraine to uphold its fundamental right to self-defense, stepping up with billions of euros worth of support and opening their borders and providing aid for refugees. The suffering we now see in Ukraine is horrific. It affects us all. And we have a responsibility to ensure the conflict does not escalate and spread beyond Ukraine. That would be even more dangerous, destructive, and even more deadly. The situation could spiral out of control. To make sure there is no room for miscalculation in Moscow, NATO has significantly strengthened our presence in the eastern part of our alliance. We have 130 jets at high alert, over 200 ships from the high north to the Mediterranean and thousands of additional troops in the region, including at NATO's multinational battle group in Adashi, which I will visit later this afternoon. Allies, including Canada, the United States and Spain, are deploying hundreds of additional troops here. We will protect and defend every inch of Latvia, and we will protect and defend every inch of all Allied territory. North America and Europe together, standing strong in NATO, the strongest alliance in history. So, President Levits, NATO stands united at this critical moment for our shared security. Thank you again for hosting me here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General.
Paldies. Lūdzu, mums ir laiks jautājumiem. Stādieties priekšā, lūdzu.
Yes, hello. My name is Maria Andreeva, Current Time Television. I have a question to Mr. Stoltenberg. So, for now, in these situations, after almost 2 weeks of war in Ukraine, how NATO can help or how NATO will help Kiev? Do you have a plan?
The last thing was, I didn't hear the last part of your answer.
Do you have a plan how NATO can help Kiev?
NATO allies provide support to Ukraine in many different ways. Allies provide military support to help Ukraine uphold the right for self-defense. Allies have done so for many years. Canada, who is present also here in Latvia with the leadership of the battle group, has actually helped to train tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers over the last years. And many other allies have provided equipment and support, and they have stepped up over the last days and weeks with more support to Ukraine to help them in their courageous fight against the invading Russian forces. Allies also provide fiscal, financial support to Ukraine and humanitarian aid. Then NATO allies, together with partners to the European Union, have imposed unprecedented economic sanctions, which we now see are having an effect. The ruble is at historical low levels, the stock market has been closed, and we see that many companies are also leaving Russia. So the economic sanctions are unprecedented in their effect and their strength, imposing significant costs on Russia for their brutal invasion of Ukraine. And then, of course, allies are also making sure that we protect all allies. We need to end this conflict, not expand it. And therefore, we are increasing our presence also in Latvia and the other parts of the eastern part of our alliance to make sure that Russia understands that we are here to protect and defend all allies, every inch of Allied territory.
Thank you. Man jautājums arī Levita kungam. Vai jūsuprāt, mēs šeit Baltijas valstīs varam justies pilnībā droši kopā ar mūsu sabiedrotajiem, vai tomēr pastāv reāli draudi no Krievijas puses arī mūsu valstīm?
Paldies. Atbilde ir skaidra. Mēs esam drošībā. Latvija ir NATO dalībvalsts, un NATO dalībvalstis solidāri aizsargā viena otru. NATO aizsargā katru dalībvalsti, visu tās teritoriju, protams, arī Latviju. Un šie pasākumi, par ko mēs ar ģenerālsekretāru šodien runājām, tie ir praktiskie pasākumi, lai parādītu arī Maskavai, ka NATO ir gatava aizsargāt savu teritoriju, visu savas teritoriju, protams, arī Latviju, un tādā veidā atturēt Maskavu no agresijas. Jo Maskava saprot spēka valodu, un NATO ir pasaulē spēcīgākā militārā aizsardzības alianse.
Paldies. Ar to es arī noslēdzu preses konferenci. Saku paldies Egilam Levitam un Jensam Stoltenbergam. Paldies.
Liners will come back. Please help us. They're going to come back and try to snuff out our independence. So 30 years later, the region still faces a Russian threat. Today, everybody in front of you is working hard with our Estonian partners to support Ukraine. The brutal attack on Ukraine hits very close to a lot of us here. We are working on security assistance. We're working on isolating Russia in international organizations. We all have our heart in it, and we're going to do our utmost to support Ukraine. Finally, I'm just so proud to introduce you to the staff of Embassy Tallinn. This is the best